Hi, it's the M.L.M for the Soul channel, and I do have a new topic for today. But before I begin, I wanted to say that may the words and expressions of my mouth and the thoughts and meditations of my heart find favor and acceptance before you, Hashem. And also thank some people who have helped me out along my own journey. They are Rabbi Lazer Brody, Rabbi Shalom Arush, Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi, and Rabbi Eli Mansour. So I am again referring to this wonderful book called Lilmod U'Li'Lamed, which is on the Parasha. It's insights and interpretations. And this is referring to Parashat Emor. And in the Parasha we talk about, the title I should say, is in the service of Hashem. So we talk about in this Parasha about the Kohanim and the Leviim, how they did service for Hashem. And because they did that service, they did not actually work for their provisions, I guess you could say. So they were given that, and they were provided with that. And in these days, we can compare that to the people that learn in the yeshiva or the kollel. And they spend their day learning, so therefore they do not actually have time to go out and do, labor, do actual physical or some type of work that will give them their livelihood, their parnasa. So they have to depend on others for their help. Now, some people may think, that's not right. Why should they, quote, get out of doing what everyone else is doing? What gives them the right? Why should they have that privilege? Well, they're looking at it all the wrong way, because the idea is they are the ones that are representing everyone else in the service of Hashem. So what they're doing is they're raising the spiritual level of the entire nation, the entire Jewish nation, Klal Yisrael. And and therefore they will be judged in a more favorable light. And this is what it talks about here in this book about supporting the scholars. So what does this mean? Do as much as you can to support those who learn Torah, because in the end they're actually giving you life. And when you do that, you're actually the one who is going to get the most benefit out of that. How so? If you support someone who learns Torah, and let's say you yourself don't have time to learn Torah, for whatever reason, you're just occupied, you have very minimal time. So by supporting them, by giving them money so they can learn, you're actually getting the mitzvah as if you learned. So every single thing that they are actually learning goes, quote unquote, as a credit to your account. And when we say your account, we're not talking about your savings or checking account here. It's not a physical account. It's a spiritual account. It's the accounting that's done in Shemayim with Hashem, in the hereafter, when you're passed through this world to the next. That's going to show up in your account upstairs. And that's the most important account that we really care about. Yes, of course, we need some money to live. But the accounting that really matters is the one that is going to be in Olam Haba, in the world to come. So that's why it's so important that we support those who are studying the Torah. And there was an interesting story in the Sefer Ahavas Chesed, and I'm going to read it to you. It goes like this. The story of a Rosh Yeshiva who was supported by his father-in-law. The arrangement lasted for several years. When the father-in-law became dissatisfied with it, he says, "My son-in-law is fully capable of supporting himself," he announced. "Why should I continue to sustain him?" The father-in-law thus withdrew support, and tragically, within a few days of his act, he died. What he had not realized was that while his financial help has aided his son-in-law's survival, the son-in-law's learning had guaranteed his survival. Once he withdrew his own support, he undercut his own spiritual salvation. So what this saying is, he gave him the financial means to continue doing the spiritual work of Hashem. So he, by helping him financially, materially, physically, he was gaining life. He didn't realize that. He took it as thinking that, oh, my son-in-law, he should be able to take care of himself. Why should I be doing it already for him? It's time that he can take care of himself. But the minute he did that, he lost his life, so to speak. That was his lifeline. He had that lifeline for a while, and that's what kept him alive. But as soon as he, arrogantly, I would say, said, oh, I don't need to do this anymore, then his support system was taken away, and he was not able to continue. So that is why it is so important. And, we forget about that and don't realize that it really can save our lives, both in this world and in the next. And, other ways that I've emphasized many times, that we can also be in the service of Hashem. One really, really important other way, you support people who learn Torah, and you can also support those who help bring people back to the service of Hashem. So still in the service of Hashem, and the person that I highly, highly recommend, if you have not done so yet, if you do, this person does not solicit donations. He does talk about that this is where you should give your maser and your tzedakah, but he doesn't actually go around and knock on doors or ask you to do it, but he just recommends it, and I can understand why he does this. And this is Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi, divineinformation.com, and I'll have links also to all the sites of all the people I mentioned in the beginning. But him especially, I found that it makes a lot of sense. He gives it to you straight. He doesn't tell you things any differently than the Hashem says in the Torah. And people sometimes have a very hard time with him, and the reason is because he tells the truth. There's no sugarcoating. There's no everything's going to be fine, because Hashem doesn't say that in the Torah. Of course, Hashem would love for everything to be fine for you, but it's your choice. Everything could be fine for you if you follow what the Torah says. It's kind of black and white. There's a lot of things in there that are very clear cut. If you don't keep Shabbos, it says mot yumat. I mean, those words are, if you know Hebrew, mot yumat. You're going to die. It's a double negative, meaning here. And then the next world, what it means here is that you're not to me, you're not anything, you don't matter to me. It's like you're dead to me. And in the next world, you lose your connection to the Jewish people. Your soul is cut out. So that's pretty severe, and it says it more than once. It says it quite a few times if you really read through what the Torah says. So he says it in, I believe it's in Sefer Shmos and Sefer Devarim again. It's in quite a few places in different parts of the Torah. So getting back to supporting Rabbi Mizrahi's cause is he does kiruv. He helps bring people back to coming closer to Hashem, and he's definitely been a very, very big influence for me, more than anybody else that I've mentioned. Although I do mention those other people because I have listened to some of their, CDs and read some books, but Rabbi Mizrahi, he really hits home for me, and so you can donate to his site. He gives away CDs for only $1. I mean, how much cheaper is that? And you can give what you feel comfortable with, but the more you give, the better, because everything counts. It goes to your accounting, so that's the most important thing to remember. You have maser, you have to give your tithing. We're all required to give back to Hashem what He's given us. So the more you give, the more you earn, and it's a never-ending, continual cycle till the end of time. You can never lose with that. So I feel that that's a very important place to do for yourself. And a lot of people don't realize it, that they donate to other places and it's like a one-time mitzvah. But here, you get continual residual income and it never ends. And I think that's the key point, is that having something like that is not possible in this physical, material world. You can earn interest on money and stuff like that, but it's not sustaining. It has a finite point. Your spiritual earnings are infinite. They never end because they don't have a time. They don't have a frame, so to speak. They're infinite. They're everlasting. So it's something definitely to consider for your future, because your future will be much brighter, and especially in the eyes of Hashem, if you do that, because you'll be helping more people get closer to Him, and that's the whole thing that really counts more than anything. So that's another way you can be in the service of Hashem, is by helping others to come closer to Him by giving money. If you can't yourself, talk to people because you don't have the means or you don't know what to say, Rabbi Mizrahi's CDs are very powerful. They really have very good information, very solid, have a strong foundational, proofs from the Torah, from science. I mean, endless on his website and his CDs and DVDs that he does. So it's definitely something to consider. And I hope and pray that with everyone coming together in the service of Hashem by helping others, that we will merit to live and see the coming of the Mashiach speedily in our days and the rebuilding of the Beis HaMikdash. Thanks for watching.